Hello, everyone. My name is Jay Walter, and this is Rebuilding. Today's quote is by Neil Gaiman. I hope that in this year to come, you make mistakes. Because if you are making mistakes, then you are making new things, trying new things, learning, living, pushing yourself, changing your world. You're doing things you've never done before, and more importantly, you are doing something. So what are you going to try to do this year that you have never done before? Let's start rebuilding. Our guest today is a member of the Tribe of Kings. His name is Eric Burson. He is an only child of a single mother. His parents divorced when he was about 5 years old. He grew up in San Jose, California, where he graduated from high school. After high school, he was offered an opportunity to have his schooling paid for if he agreed to move to more rural Northern California to live with his father. At this point in his life, he wanted to be an athletic trainer or a physical therapist, as he had spent most of his entire high school career playing sports, one of which was tennis, which he excelled at to the point of receiving a partial scholarship to the University of the Pacific, which he was not able to pursue due to financial constraints. His time with his father is difficult to talk about. His father is a Vietnam-era veteran who lost his arm while serving. He had been adopted as an orphan who was adopted out of the Tennessee Valley home in the late 40s by a couple from Southern California. However, they were divorced at some point, so he was raised by his mother in the Bay Area. These things contributed to him being a very aggressive and sometimes violent man who did not know how to interact with a son. After several years of verbal and physical abuse, Eric decided he needed an escape and enlisted in the military. This was for Eric a respite from issues at home. It was, however, a good thing for him. He learned about service and teamwork and many other lessons about life. It turned out to be a good thing for him. To this point, Eric has served a total of 17 and a half years. When he returned home from basic training, his father and stepmother had arranged for him to meet a young lady they thought would be good for him. But God had other ideas as he met the woman who would be his partner for the last 28 years and has helped him overcome many challenges he has experienced. So, Eric, welcome to the show today. I appreciate you coming in and being with us. Let's start with a little bit. What makes Eric tick? Who is Eric Burson?
Well, thank you, Jay. In my intro, it really talks about what got me to the place where I am today, and the key word or the one word that would define me is probably service. Serving others has been something that. For as long as I can remember, it's been something in my heart. But in my adult years, I've found my most peaceful times in service to others.
Fantastic. So, what's one of your passions? What really drives you?
Well, one of the things that drives me right now, or has driven me for many years, last 13, as a matter of fact, is a ministry down under the 5th Street Viaduct, serving the homeless. There's a story that goes along with that, how I wound up being there every Sunday. But every Sunday I'm grounded. I'm returned to a place that reminds me of how life can be a challenge to anyone and how you can make a difference in someone's life.
Okay. I bet there was some challenges in this service. What kind of a challenge? What challenges do you think, or obstacles did you have to face or overcome while you were building up to this service you've been doing?
Oh my goodness! In the service, just the one that I'm talking about, the Sunday morning, I've had innumerable challenges. I've had confrontations with staff members that are part of the operation, have differences of opinion, and sometimes you really have to remember why you're doing something. I've had confrontations with people who were receiving the the service that we were providing, and very very ungrateful. That creates a real challenge.
Yeah, yeah, I'm sure it does. Was there any trepidation, any thoughts of you couldn't do this, or did you just the way you are, does it just come naturally to you?
To be honest, Jay, there were many times over the 13 years, not so much in the last couple of years, but throughout the 13 years, there were times when I would get home after a Sunday morning and just think, why am I doing this? Is it making a difference? Is it really helping anybody? And then I have to remember why I originally started being down there on Sunday mornings, and what pushed me, what drew me. Maybe drew is probably the best word for that. What drew me to this service opportunity.
What? Tell us a little bit about that. What did draw you? Yeah, I'm going to drag it out of you.
Well, the story is quite funny and could probably have me committed. In the spring of 2006, I was working at a small independent repair shop, repairing automobiles. That's probably my most marketable skill. And having a hard time of even doing that, a lot of challenges, and really trying to determine what I was doing with my service, my personal life. And in a time of a private time of prayer, I would say, and as awkward as this is, it was a time when I had some quiet time in a restroom. And I was praying and listening, and I heard the audible voice of God in my head, of course, say, "Why aren't you in the position I created for you?" And I questioned. I said, "What position is that? What are you talking about?" And the words that came were the chaplain of the Chuckwagon. Now, the ministry that I'm a part of is called Eagle Ranch Chuckwagon, and it's a serving ministry. We cook and distribute fresh food every Sunday to those that are arriving for whatever reason. But that was words that I heard in my head, and I wrote them down when I came out of the restroom. And the next weekend, I had the opportunity to meet with the individual who was the founder and leader of the ministry, and I shared those exact words, and her face went blank. And she asked me to repeat myself, and I did. I admire her very much. I'm very respectful of her. And I said, "The chaplain of the Chuckwagon." And she looked at me and she said, "I know this is God because I've never spoken those words to another human being." Now, mind you, she has parts in prayer groups and church functions. She's taught all over the country in various outlets. But she'd never shared those exact words in that form with anyone. So she had a knowing in her spirit that it was something that was designed, something that was from the Creator, and something that would be profitable for her ministry.
Oh, wow. That's quite an experience, and I love when you tell that story. I've heard it before, and I knew that's what we needed to hear tonight. So you turned to God. Did you turn to your Creator for solutions to this feelings you were having? Is that normal process for you? Is this new, or is this?
No, it wasn't necessarily new. I'd had other things. I had knowings, and I had heard specific instructions sometimes before. But this one was so evident. It was so outside the norm. You know, a lot of times I think that we find ourselves, and I've shared this in lots of different occasions. We find ourselves making plans and then taking them to God and asking Him to bless them, or taking them to your Creator, your deity, your whatever you answer to.
Right.
And a lot of times I believe that that entity will know better than you do, but won't push you, won't ask you to do something you don't want to do until you're ready.
Mm-hmm.
And this was a place where everything fell into place. The rest of the story of that is, at the point that I was in my personal life, I was the head usher of a church. I was a member of a security team. I had quite a bit of responsibility in that fellowship, and so it was a pretty big challenge to accept what was presented to me and then go about following through with that.
Okay, cool. Well, let's take a quick break here, and we'll be right back with Eric Burson right after these messages.
Some people are born smart or beautiful. I was born electric. My name is Michael Vey. The Elgin Corporation created me, and now they're trying to destroy me. I've got friends that can shoot lightning, create an EMP, create light. I'm getting more powerful every day. Which brings me to my question. How much electric am I going to get before I am no longer human?
Hello, my friends. This is Brad Neufeld, host of the Five Kingdoms radio show right here on the Tribe of Kings Information Network. Be sure and tune in weekly to hear the latest and greatest on the Tribe of Kings, and also to learn all those things that you need to do to be the best that you can be.
Welcome back to Rebuilding, and we're here with Eric Burson talking about his experiences with as the pastor of the Chuckwagon
Chaplain of the Chuckwagon. Those were the exact words.
Okay. So what kind of lessons did you think you've learned over the past 13 years working with the homeless and feeding these people and serving people?
I've learned innumerable lessons. Some of the lessons I've learned, the most important lessons have been about myself. I have learned that at no point do I have any room to judge any other human being. Anyone else's choices, anyone else's condition. I have a couple of wonderful stories about people that were on one side of the table receiving from us, and a year or two later they'd made some choices in their lives and changed, and then they came back to help us and serve those that were in a position that they were in just shortly before that. I've made innumerable friends. I've got some really interesting stories about people who came down to serve. One of the things that a lot of people don't know is it's a service project that is recognized by most, and I say this hesitantly, jurisdictions. We are a 501c3, so we are able to give people credit for community service hours. Many judges assign people to the Chuckwagon because they know that they will be tasked with functional, real work, not busy work, not emptying trashes and stacking chairs, but they'll be asked to do something that may even step them outside of their comfort zone, serving someone else, because we do actually serve the individuals through every step of the process.
Mm-hmm.
We prepare the food, but then we serve it. We distribute plates, and folks come up with their plates, and we serve them the food.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a humbling experience. A lot of people have said it's the most rewarding type of service they've ever done.
Yeah. So they get to meet these people face to face and serve them directly.
Absolutely.
While they're down there with you.
Absolutely. You're within a couple of feet.
Yeah.
A safe distance, of course, because you never know when someone's going to have a bad day, and
Right.
there have been quite a few of those, and quite a few things that I could share about how people behave when they are trying to protect themselves.
Yeah. What would you like other people to learn from your experience? What things would you like to pass on from what you've seen?
I would like to share with people that number one, that you remain open to whatever it is that you answer to. You don't close yourself off and isolate yourself from what can be your contribution to society as a whole.
Yeah. Okay. And do you think you've gained a better understanding of what strengths maybe you hadn't realized were in you before, or?
I have learned that I can, with patience and with respect to others, I can make a difference in anybody's life. Allowing them the autonomy to make choices and to respond in a way that helps them see that there's something better for them.
Okay. If someone came to you with problems or issues like you were having before you had this experience, let's call it that, what advice would you give them? How would you advise them to move forward?
My first advice would be to get quiet. To get quiet and to just, I'm sorry, I will quote the Bible. It says, "Be still and know that I am God."
That's fine. Yeah.
That's a place that's really difficult in our society to get to, because we have so many things going on.
Yeah.
We have so many things that seem important, that we make important in our lives, our phones and our emails, and just so many parts of our lives, even our families. A lot of times we feel like our families deserve everything from us, and honestly, and my wife would tell you that sometimes she's not real happy about my Sunday morning. Because, that's time that she would have with me,
Right.
and she doesn't. But she also knows that it's important for me to have that time to do what I know I'm supposed to be doing. So I would say to anybody that's having a struggle, anybody that came and asked me, and not that you come and serve with me, but that you get still, you get quiet, you turn your phone off, turn your computer off. If it requires you to get in your car and drive up a canyon and pull off in a safe spot, or go to a park and sit on a bench, just to get quiet and still your mind from all the things that are going on around you and are happening to you, and spend a little time with yourself. And from my perspective, your deity, or who you answer to. I think that might be the best way to describe it. It's who you answer to.
Yeah. So really building that first kingdom, your relationship with deity, is a key to all of this, I think. In my mind, from what you're saying, is that's what drives all of these things.
Absolutely, because, all the times that I shared a few moments ago about questioning whether I was doing the right thing, it always came back to what prompted you to do what you're doing, and why are you doing it?
Mm-hmm.
And all the times that I thought about stepping away, it was always, no, this is why you're doing it, and this is what you're doing it for.
Mm-hmm.
And I was doing it for my deity. I was doing it for who I answer to.
Mm-hmm.
And I wanted to be able to say, I have done my best to serve you with a pure heart.
Wow. That's powerful. And I think that is so helpful to people out there that are just, I don't know, we just don't always know where to go or how to get there. And that advice to just be still and to listen and to really open your mind to those promptings that come from, and I've seen them come to people that aren't necessarily religious or aren't, of a particular faith or feelings, that you and I may share. But I've seen those people directed and guided with impressions and thoughts. So, any final recommendations? Any final thoughts to others that you would have? Any advice you would give?
I think the biggest thing I would say is don't be too hard on yourself.
Mm-hmm.
I tend to kind of beat myself up sometimes. With, I could have done this better. I could have done that better.
Yeah.
If I would have only, and your intro was amazing. Your quote about making mistakes.
Mm-hmm.
The person that isn't making any mistakes isn't doing anything, because that's the only way you can't make a mistake. It's how you learn from those mistakes, and do you choose to grow and learn from every one of those steps or missteps, and do you grow from those choices that you've made and those quote unquote mistakes? Because sometimes it's not a mistake; it's just a learning experience.
Right. Yeah. You can't learn if you don't make mistakes. It's if you're doing the things you already know. You already know those things. So that's great. So how do people connect with you? How do we come help you on Sunday mornings?
Well, the easiest way to come help on a Sunday morning is plan ahead.
Mm-hmm.
And depending on the time of year, dress warm or don't. Because we are outside. It is in the elements. It's under a bridge, but it's still outside. It can be quite cold, quite windy, quite arbitrary in nature. But it's 500 South, 600 West in downtown Salt Lake City at 7 a.m. I arrive with a 32-foot fully enclosed trailer with all the gear that we need to do to serve anywhere from 50 people to many years ago, we had served upwards of 550 people on a Sunday morning. And be prepared to have a good attitude.
Yeah.
Because it can be a challenge. I'm on Facebook, I'm on LinkedIn, I'm on Instagram and Twitter. My email address is out there. My phone number is free to the public. I'll take a call and do my best to answer questions. I would encourage folks anybody that's listening, to find a way to give back to your community, not necessarily doing what I'm doing, because I know that there are a lot of other people doing a lot of other things, but one of the most beneficial things for ourselves is to do something for someone else.
Yeah. Fantastic. Thank you, Eric, for being with us and sharing your thoughts and your experiences. And I hope this reaches out and touches somebody's heart out there that can learn from your experience. I'd like to close with another quote from Neil Gaiman. The one thing that you have that nobody else has is you. Your voice, your mind, your story, your vision. So write and draw and build and play and dance and live as only you can. So thank you for listening to Rebuilding on the Tribe of Kings Information Network. I hope that you've heard something today that will help you on your path to rebuilding. Please go to speakpipe.com/rebuilding and leave me any thoughts, comments, suggestions, or questions. Just think you could be mentioned on a future show. Again, that is speakpipe.com/rebuilding. Remember, a dream written down with a deadline is a goal, and a goal achieved is a dream come true. Until next time, I am Jay Walter on the Tribe of Kings Information Network, and I am always rebuilding.
My name is Alan Christofferson. You don't know me. Just another book in the library, my father would say, unopened and unread. You have no idea how far I've come or what I've lost. More important, you have no idea what I've found. I'm no one important or famous. No matter. It's better to be loved by one person who knows your soul than millions who don't even know your phone number. I have loved and been loved as deeply as a man can hope for, which makes me a lucky man. It also means that I have suffered. Life has taught me that in order to fly, you must first accept the possibility of falling. I don't know if anyone will ever read what I'm writing, but if you're holding this book, then you've found my story. That makes you my fellow sojourner. If you find something in my journey that will help you with yours, keep it. Some might call this a love story. Those without love will call it a travelogue. To me, it's one man's journey to find hope. There are things that happened to me that you might not believe. There were lessons learned that you might not be ready for. No matter. Accept or dismiss what you will. But let me warn you in advance, which is more than I got, that what you read won't be easy, but it's a story worth telling. It's the story of my walk.